and after a moment it mentioned Lady Gaga, and if you like Love Game by Lady Gaga, read this book because this book is Love Game by Lady Gaga. I don't know about you, but I personally sometimes put a book on my TBR and then I proceed to not read it for like a year, 2 years, in some cases 10 years. And in today's reading vlog, we are going to be tackling some of the oldest books on my TBR, because some of them has been on my TBR, either my physical TBR, my Kindle TBR, or just my list of books I want to read one day in my life TBR for way too long. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Carol, and in this channel we talk mainly about books. And if you're new here, you probably won't know, you have no idea about the lore behind the first book on this reading vlog, but if you have been here for quite some time, you probably have already seen me talking about this book, mentioning this book. You might be the person, the dear viewer, the lovely viewer that recommended me to read these books like 2 years ago, which is insane. But the first book in this video, you're going to finally be reading Ready Player One. And if you know about the lore of this book, you know about the lore of this book. If you don't know about the lore of this book, let me tell you about the lore. One of the reasons why I'm putting down, like, I'm reading this book right now, it's because I was recently going through some of my old photos on my phone, like, let's see some old photos. And I'm pretty sure I found a photo of the exact day when I added this book to my giant list of books I want to read one day in my life. And I thought it was like way longer. I thought it was like 2016, 2017, but no, it was 2018. I'm going to add here is a photo of the day I added that book to my TBR. So Ready Player One has been on this giant list of books I want to read one day in my life since 2018. It's a long time. And I remember going to the bookstore. It was one of my favorite bookstores at the time, and I was looking through it, and then I went to the section, the English book section, and I was going through it, and then I looked at this book and I read the back and I was like, wow, it seems so interesting. I'm not going to buy it right now because I have a lot of books on my TBR, but I'm going to write it down so I can get it one day. The next time I went to the bookstore, the book wasn't there. And then every time I look at this book on my list, I was like, I'm going to read this book. I need to read this book. I have a feeling I will like this book. And I proceeded to not buy the book. And then the year was 2024. I did a reading vlog where I was talking about one of my then new favorite books, which was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabriel Zevin. One of our dear viewers just went down there and commented, hey, have you read Ready Player One? I have a feeling you are going to love this book. And I was like, you know what? This book has been on my list of books I wanted to read one day in my life. So I'm going to go out, I'm going to get it, I'm going to read it soon. I went on a hunt for this book. At that time, that book, the physical copy of the book wasn't really available for me. It was sold out everywhere for some reason, on bookstores, on Amazon. I even looked at secondhand bookstores, and I don't think I mentioned it at the time, but on secondhand bookstores. There is this website in Brazil where you can basically check many secondhand bookstores, or many secondhand bookstores can put their catalog on the website. So I went there and I was looking for it, and I found a physical copy of that book on the secondhand bookstore. The only problem it was that it was really far away, and the amount that I was going to pay for shipping just didn't make sense for me to pay that much for shipping. But I was so certain I was going to read that book soon that I went on Amazon and I bought the ebook. Considering I'm filming this clip, you might already tell that I haven't read this book. The ebook has been sitting on my Kindle since 2024. The book has been on my list of books I wanted to read one day in my life since apparently 2018. And I never managed to pick it up. And every time I scroll past this book, I'm like, I need to read this book soon, because I have a feeling I'm going to love this book. One of my dear viewers said I'm going to love this book, so I need to read this book soon. And then I proceeded to never read the book. And then there was a moment which, for those who don't use YouTube Studio, but on YouTube Studio, which is on the creator side of YouTube, there is a page where they kind of suggest you like video ideas. And one of the most constant video ideas that the YouTube studio, the AI, keeps suggesting me is reading Ready Player One, conquering my fear of orange spines by reading Ready Player One, reading the oldest book on my TBR, Ready Player One. Even YouTube's AI is calling me out on the fact that I still haven't read this book. It's kind of embarrassing, but also kind of funny, but also embarrassing. And honestly, why I keep putting this book off? It's been a while since I filmed the introverts video, but it's been a few days that I have been reading Ready Player One. So before I start talking about my opinions on the book, let's talk about what Ready Player One is actually about. So Ready Player One is a sci-fi dystopia that takes place in this universe in 2045 when Earth is essentially going through this energy crisis that is affecting apparently every single country in the world. There is also this big economic crisis. A lot of people don't have jobs. People are very poor. There is this big energy and economic crisis going on in the entire world, apparently affecting every single country. And in Ready Player One, we follow Wade. He is a 17-year-old boy that later he turns 18 throughout the story of this book. But his parents passed away when he was younger. He technically was under the care of his aunt, but his aunt was only with him because she was getting aid from the government because he was a minor, but he never really had a good relationship with his aunt. He was essentially alone in the world. He was always alone. And he's also like, apparently he's overweight, he's not necessarily traditionally attractive, and he lives his entire life in the Oasis. The Oasis is essentially the metaverse, or what the metaverse aimed to be, what that metaverse wanted to be. The Oasis is kind of this artificial reality universe, kind of like almost a video game where a lot of people can go there. To join the Oasis is technically free, but if you want to travel around the different worlds, the different universe in this fictional AI, artificial intelligence world, you need to pay money. Also, the Oasis, you, for example, apparently now, but you can go to school in the Oasis. Wade attends a public school in the Oasis. You have, like, basically, there are a lot of things to Oasis. The Oasis is what Metaverse wanted to be. There are plenty of people that essentially they spend their whole life in this virtual community, alternate reality, this virtual community. And around 5 years ago, from the moment the story starts I think in 2045 or around 2045, but 5 years ago, the owner of the Oasis, who also happened to be one of the wealthiest men in the world, he passed away and he didn't have any heirs, he didn't have any family left, so he left his whole fortune for whoever won this contest. And the contest is basically that the founder of the Oasis, he put an Easter egg inside his universe, and whoever finds this Easter egg first will inherited his whole fortune, inherited the Oasis, the company, and basically inherited this founder's whole fortune. And this founder, he was kind of like a peculiar person. He was extremely obsessed with the 80s, so also whoever is trying to win this contest, they will need to be really into, like, understand a lot about the 80s and what's his founder like, because he also left like this almanac, like a diary of things he loved, and people are studying everything he loved, a lot of things from the 80s, from commercials to TV shows to music from the time, and they're trying to figure out this Easter egg. And Wade is in his hunt, and we follow Wade as he keeps trying to find this Easter egg, which can change his life because he comes from a poor background, he comes from a poor family, he has no real prospects because the world is going through an economic crisis, and to get a job, like a person that graduated from college will need to wait like 2 years in line to be able to get a job at a fast food chain as a server. So the economic aspect of this world is really not great, and it's also really important to the world because also means no, it's not very safe, it's not a great reality, it's a dystopia, and dystopias usually, it doesn't portray the greatest of reality. But basically we are following Wade as he goes into this journey trying to find the Easter egg. Now for my opinions on this book. This book was on my TBR, my want to read pile, want to read list for almost 10 years. And it's a dystopia, so I knew this book was going to get dark. And I have mixed feelings when it comes to Ready Player One, and it's not that I'm not liking it. It's just that first, this book feels dated. This book I think was released in 2011, and this book already feels like it was released many years ago, because there are many things when it comes to technology and like there are many things about this book that just already feel dated, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of classic dystopia that still are extremely relevant and we are still studying nowadays, they're very dated, right? 1984 is extremely dated. Fahrenheit 951? 9? It's right, I forget the name. Fahrenheit 451, which is literally behind me, is also extremely dated because technology and stuff. And it doesn't mean the story isn't relevant. The story is still very much relevant. I'm like reorganizing the little figures while I'm talking, but basically, the fact that this book feels outdated in a way doesn't necessarily make the book bad or irrelevant. I feel like a lot of the things this book talks about is still very relevant. This book, a big theme is literally people living online and living in this alternate reality in this video game instead of trying to fix the world or trying to focus on real life. And this is very relevant nowadays because a lot of people are addicted to screens and their screens and always online. The perpetually online phenomenon is a thing. Also, this book talks a lot about like companies, not very kind of like evil companies, because there is this one company in the universe called the IOI, who essentially there is this group of people trying to find the Easter egg so they can get this big fortune. They're called the Gunters, and then you have the Sixers, and the Sixers, they are these people that work for this company called the IOI. The IOI is an evil company, TM, that are going to go to extremes because they want to take over the company that owns the Oasis, but when he was alive, the owner never let them, never accepted to sell the company, so they are now competing in this contest as well, and we follow in this book what is going on also with the company. So this book is still very relevant, even though sometimes it's stated, but it's still very relevant. And this book also, it gets dark. It can get quite dark because it is a dystopia, and dystopias, a good dystopia, usually will get quite dark. So in some ways I was already expecting that. It's just that I'm not sure if this was the right time for me to read this book. It's a book where sometimes I feel like maybe I should put it down for a while, but also I don't want to put it down because whenever I pick this book up and I start reading, I don't notice time passing. Like I'm sitting reading, I'm tapping on my Kindle, going through the pages, and then suddenly, wow, we are writing another chapters, but let's read another page, and then suddenly, wow, we are writing another chapter. This book is definitely a page turner. It's a book I feel like I can't stop reading, and I'm really enjoying it, but I feel like one of my complicated feelings about books, maybe because I was expecting this book to be a 5-star, to be an immediate 5-star, and it's definitely not a 5-star right now for me. I'm not getting 5-star feelings, but I'm still really enjoying this book. The characters are also very unlikable and kind of, I don't find them to be necessarily the very interesting, especially the main character. I don't find Wade to be an extremely interesting character. I'm more curious about Artemis, who is a side character, or H, but Wade, he also kind of annoys me. He's annoying me quite a bit. Some of the things that he's doing, some of the decisions that he makes, in some ways you can understand. I can understand because he's a teenager. Also, he comes from this poor background. He didn't have the easiest, most comfortable life. So sometimes you can understand some of the decisions that he's making, but this doesn't make me feel less annoyed by the character. So it's kind of like a complicated feeling because I'm really enjoying this book, but also kind of expected more in some ways, and also the character that we are following, and we are following these characters. This book so far has only one POV. I'm 50% reading this book, So far, we had only one POV, and the main character really annoys me, and I don't really like him. And I kind of rooting for him to win the contest because we are in his POV and kind of wish he could have a better life than the one that he has right now. But also, I also wish another character that I'm not going to say the name here, but there is another character that I think might deserve more the prize, and I would like to see them win the prize more as well. I finally finished reading Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Not going to lie, kind of took me way too long to finish this book because there was a moment in time where I kind of paused reading the book. Not like it was out of my own free will, but I wasn't planning on finishing reading the book. It's just that I had a pre-order that came in, and then I decided to read my pre-order, and then I ended up putting Ready Player One on a pause. But I did finally finish reading that book, and I have very mixed feelings about the book because in one hand I really enjoyed this book. It's definitely a kind of book I enjoy and I had a lot of fun reading. At the other, by the end of the book, I didn't really enjoy some parts of the end of the book. After like somewhere around 80%, on the 80% mark of the book, I didn't really enjoy. I thought some of the conflicts were being solved quite, not necessarily it was easy to solve, but it was some of the things that were going on were very convenient for the plot. But overall, I really enjoyed it, but also I'm kind of mad at myself because on one hand, I really enjoyed this book. I had a lot of fun reading this book. On the other, I put so much pressure on myself that this book was going to be a 5-star that when I read this book, I couldn't help but feel kind of disappointed because I really enjoyed the book, but it definitely wasn't a 5-star. I ended up giving Ready Player One 4 stars, and also kind of mad at myself because 2026 Carol really enjoyed reading Ready Player One, but the Carol that initially added Ready Player One to her TBR would have loved that book. This would have been one of her favorite books ever. She would be giving it 5 stars and just being so in love with this book. But 2026 Carol enjoyed it, but definitely not her new favorite book. But overall, I really liked Ready Player One. Again, 4 stars. I know there is a sequel called Ready Player 2. Not sure if I'm going to read it. Do you think I should read this sequel? If you have read Ready Player 2, please let me know if it is worth reading, because I was looking through the reviews for Ready Player 2 and they are not great. Also, I feel like Ready Player 1 could be should be a standalone. I don't know what else I can add to the story and to this world with a sequel, because I don't feel like this is a book that requires a sequel, that asks for a sequel. In my opinion, Ready Player One was a great book, a great standalone book. So, do you think I should read Ready Player 2 or maybe just forget that this book exists? Because the reviews are not great, they are very mixed reviews. There are either people that absolutely love that book or people that hate it, or at least those are the reviews that keep showing up for me on Goodreads. So yes, that's it for the Ready Player One section of this video. After 10 years, I finally read this book, and now let's move on to the next book in this vlog, which I have a few picks. The book we are going to be reading in this vlog is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. And this is, I believe, a historical fiction that explores multiple generations of one family, or at least it explores the history of families in Korea, Japan, and I think maybe other Asian countries during, I think, the early 20th century, maybe. I think it's multiple generations of a family, and you're following their stories and how the history of Korea and Japan influenced their life. Hi, so I'm currently 10 chapters through reading Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and so if this video takes too long to come out, it's Pachinko's fault, because turns out Pachinko is a very long book. I knew Pachinko was a very long book. According to my Kindle, it is 450 pages on Kindle, so quite a long book, quite a dense book. It's a historical fiction where we follow multiple generations of this family. It's a Korean Japanese family, and we start the story when Korea was being colonized by Japan. And as of the time I am reading in this book, we are still in the timeline of Korea being colonized by Japan. We are still in that generation. And my opinion so far about Pachinko is that, one, this book is sad. This book is really sad. Every time I read it, you read a little bit and you're like, oh, and then it starts to get better, and then you're like, oh, it's not better. It's the contrary of better, and it feels like you are in this constant, I was going to say like a hamster wheel because I forgot the term in English, but like a hamster wheel of not great things happening to this family. And it's a very sad book, which is not necessarily my vibe at the moment. It's not the kind of book I'm in the mood to read at the moment, but at the same time, I'm really liking the writing, I'm really liking the storytelling. And whenever I start reading Pachinko, I feel like I'm sucked into the story and I want to continue reading it, even though it's quite a sad book. If it takes me way too long to finish reading this book, finish doing this video, probably Pachinko's fault, because I have a feeling it will take me quite some time. When I look at how many hours left I have in this book, it's scary, because I have a lot of hours left in Pachinko, but also Pachinko feels like one of those books where I will need to read like some farofas in the middle. I will need to read some silly, funny, some people would call it low-brow books, but for me it's just the silly, funny books that I really enjoy, so I can continue to be sane while reading Pachinko and enjoying Pachinko. So I plan on continuing reading this book because, again, I'm really enjoying it, even though it's sad, but I'm really enjoying the writing, the storytelling. I'm scared about the pacing because I heard the second half of the book has some weird pacing situation, but we are going to continue reading this book, even if it takes me way too long to finish this reading vlog. But I started reading Pachinko, I got to around 28% to reading Pachinko, and I'm not going to continue reading Pachinko in this reading vlog, and not because I don't enjoy the book. I actually think Pachinko is a really great book. I'm really liking the writing style, the writing, and this book in general. But this book, Pachinko, is so sad. You are reading it and things start to go better, and then it goes the opposite way, and it feels like it never has a light at the end of the tunnel. It's also a very long book, and I have a feeling that if I continue to force myself to read the book right now, I will go on a reading slump, and you are going to try to avoid that. And another thing is, if I actually continue reading Pachinko in this reading vlog, and in the way that I would regularly read Pachinko, this reading vlog would take me a year to finish, because I have a feeling this is a sort of book that I will read like 5 chapters one day, and then I will wait 5 days, and then I will pick up and read another 5 chapters, because it's a very sad book. And as a person that isn't the biggest fan of sad books and isn't in the mood to read a sad book right now, I have a feeling Pachinko is just not a book for me at this moment in time, but I've got 28% of the book, and it's a great book so far, so I want to continue. I want to finish reading it, but I'm going to read it on my own time, off camera, because I have a feeling this is just the sort of book I need to read off camera, and then I will read like 5 chapters at a time, because it's just so sad. And I wasn't really that much aware of the history between Japan and Korea. I knew a little bit, but I definitely didn't, I'm not an expert at all in the history of both of these countries, and I feel like I'm learning so much about the history of these countries. And again, this book is so sad because it talks about colonialism, and there's a lot of discrimination, like a lot of discrimination, and it's sad. It's just really sad. And you have some characters, I don't want to talk much about it because I will end up giving you spoilers, because this is a multi-generational family tale. I think I'm only on the third generation of the story, kind of. So I'm definitely not, I'm not sure if it is a spoiler, but I will stop talking about it right now because I don't want to give you a spoiler. But I will continue in this reading vlog with another book that it is technically one of the oldest books on my TBR. I think it's like maybe the third oldest book right now, that it is a classic and that continues to be unread on my Kindle TBR. And it is The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. I have the book here, so yeah, let's confirm it. Yes, The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. I believe the author might be Irish because this book takes place in Ireland. But basically, I believe that in this book we are following Rachel and James. They were just very close friends during college, and the book is in the point of view of Rachel. And back when they were in college, I believe it was in 2009, there was this rumor that Rachel was dating her college professor, her literature professor, who was much older than her as well. But apparently that's not what was going on. And now the narrator is Rachel, and you're following the narrator is Rachel in modern times, like in the late 2010s, early 2020s. And the book already started, we find out that her professor is sick. He's in a coma apparently. And then after that we are following Rachel telling us a story of what happened in around 2010 between Rachel, James and this professor. And I am currently, I think, around 12% to reading this book, so I don't know much more about it. But this book was supposed to be really fun. It's supposed to be funny. At least I picked it up because it was advertised to be funny. I'm not sure if the funny is hitting for me right now. It is definitely a fun book and I'm enjoying it. It's just not meeting the expectations that I had in my head. But I will continue reading The Rachel Incident. It's a book I have a feeling I can fly through it. So I will come back whenever I have any updates. Hi, it's the next day and we are going to be doing an update about The Rachel Incident because I'm now 60% through reading this book and it definitely changed. I'm definitely enjoying this book way more than I was at the beginning of the book. I definitely find it funny. I like the plot. I think it's so juicy. It is feeling like one of those British TV shows from 2009-2010 era. It's a very specific vibe. I'm reading this book and in the back of my mind my mind is singing to me 2000s Lily Allen songs. It's sinking Not Fair in my brain. And after a moment it mentioned Lady Gaga, and if you like Love Game by Lady Gaga, read this book because this book is Love Game by Lady Gaga. And I actually was just listening to the song because I'm liking this book so much that I started listening to Love Game by Lady Gaga. And now I need to do this update quite fast because the sun is setting right now. And the sun is setting right now because I was listening to Love Game by Lady Gaga, which then led to Spotify playing Bad Romance by Lady Gaga, which led to Spotify just playing a lot of 2000 songs, like late 2000 songs, and then I got distracted. But going back to this book, The Rachel Incident, it's giving very 2000s culture, 2009, 2010 specifically vibes, and I'm really enjoying it. I really like that this story is being told through the point of view of a 30-year-old Rachel who's looking back at the 20-year-old Rachel from 2009 and 2010, because then 2009 Rachel, she's insufferable. The characters in 2009, they are insufferable, and if the story was being told just through the point of view of the 2009-2010 version of Rachel, I definitely wouldn't be enjoying this book. But because we are getting started to the point of view of a 30-year-old Rachel who can look back and be like, oh yeah, I reacted that way because I still haven't learned that that's basically code for Y. This person is saying X, but they actually mean Y. Or I reacted that way because turns out I was really drunk and my brain wasn't really processing in a correct manner what my boyfriend is telling me. Or, wow, I kept so many secrets from my boyfriend, I wonder what we were talking about, which, yes girl. And you're reading this book and you can tell that 30-year-old Rachel understands that 20-year-old Rachel was kind of insufferable and making not the best decisions at times. So the fact that we are getting started to the point of view of a 30-year-old Rachel, it makes the book so much better. And honestly, I'm having just so much fun. I'm really, really enjoying The Rachel Incident right now. It's definitely not a 5 stars, but it is at least a 4 stars. It's 4 stars and above so far. And I need to go back to reading it because last night I stopped at this part of the book where we are on the juicy part of the book. Things are juicy, but things that I have a feeling will become way juicier. We are going to graduate from a small juice cup to a large juice cup. We are going to graduate from a home juicer to a professional grade juicer, because I have a feeling things are going to start to go crazy. Very juicy, very soap opera-esque. So let's go back to reading it, because also the sun is literally setting, because I got distracted listening to Lady Gaga. More specifically, 2009-2010 Lady Gaga, which, fun fact, The Monster and The Fame Monster are two of my favorite albums ever. Actually, on the album, I got them back in 2010 when I was listening to it all the time, and I still listen to those albums way too much. I definitely know the lyrics to most of the songs on those albums. I definitely know the lyrics from Bad Romance and Telephone. I actually know the choreography for Bad Romance and Telephone, even though I haven't done them in a long time, but it is muscle memory at this moment in time. Actually, every time I listen to songs, I need to hold myself back because I want to do the choreography, because it's muscle memory, because I used to be such a big fan of the songs back in 2009, 2010, 2012. I still really like them. But let's stop rambling, let's go back to reading, because this story is getting very juicy at the moment. I finished reading The Rachel Incident, and honestly everything I said in the previous clip still stands, and I don't have much to add about it. All I have to say is that honestly, I wish the main part of the drama had started a little bit earlier in the book, and that by the end of the book we just had like a sprinkle, just a sprinkle more of drama, and just a sprinkle more of drama. That's all the notes I have for the Rachel Instant, but overall I had a lot of fun. It was funny, it was interesting, it was very juicy and dramatic, and overall it was a really nice book, and I ended up giving it 4 stars because it was a fun time, and I'm not going to continue rambling about the book. I'm not going to waste your time because that's everything I have to say about the Rachel Instant. So yes, this is it for this video. If you liked it, please consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you with another video very soon. Bye!